Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 4 in this best of 7 series between H2O and LordRaphael. This is the grand finals of the Winter Championships 2016. We do have H2O versus LordRaphael. H2O, it is his turn to pick the civilization. Has landed on France. And of course, LordRaphael gets to pick second here, gets to engineer himself perhaps a better matchup. And these games have been extraordinarily close. I think LordRaphael has definitely got it in him to show us a good series. Is definitely, surely, I imagine, going to certainly win a few more. Certainly capable of that. These players both very strong, both been practicing a lot for this, and both I know are certainly on top form. Has landed on Dutch by the looks of it, Zuter.
Yeah, interesting choice. I mean, Dutch. I was just in a phone call with H2O and Midel last night, and we were playing some scenarios and talking about Civ potential, basically, and we all kind of agreed that Dutch just isn't really that great. And I'm curious that LordRaphael, with what I would argue are better options available, is going to opt into Dutch. Now, I know when you come down to tournament plays, you have to pick civs you're comfortable playing. There's no point in playing a civilization just because they are the, quote, theoretically best civilization, right? If you don't know how to play the civ, or you're not comfortable with the civ, or you just prefer playing matchups that you've explored before and you know a little bit better, you need to play that civilization, because when it comes right down to it, you need to do whatever you think is going to do in your best interest in terms of winning. And I think that's what we see here with Dutch. I think LordRaphael, going back to the comfort pick of Dutch, going back to that vanilla civilization, and we'll see how it ends up working out for him. We've seen him play some mighty fine Dutch in the past, and I expect nothing but the same from him here.
I do think Dutch is one of Lord strongest civs, but I'm going to talk about Zuter for a moment. He is a player that plays almost exclusively Japan, certainly good with other civilizations as well, but knows knows every matchup with Japan, even the terrible ones, and he knows how to play those matchups, and LordRaphael here might be another example of that. He might know exactly how to play Dutch in all of the different ways to make it favorable, and of course, as Zuter mentioned, it's good to play civilizations you're comfortable with, but also it's worth pointing out Dutch, maybe, just maybe, that he has a build order in mind, something that he has up his sleeve that has not been seen before, that might catch H2O off guard. I know that's certainly more likely to be a possibility with Azamk when he's playing games, but we could see it here as well. Certainly saw some petard builds and China FFs and things like that are new and very exciting to see. But let's start with H2O. Here he is in the right-hand side of the map in the colour blue. Starting with 2 wood crates, going to be very happy about that. And of course his opponent will get that as well, 2 wood crates there. But for France, what this means is he can rush out towards the sort of centre of the map where these 3 trading posts are and lay one of those down. Does come across 80 wood. He's going to be very, very happy about that. And I imagine now we'll only collect 20 wood with these villagers there so that he'll get the remaining 80. Going to crack shot it on the way, of course, let that crack shot recharge whilst he's building the trading site, and then very, very easily going to get that house down. Going to be very, very happy about that. But H2O, of course, has done many, many things. Is possibly the best player the Age of Empires 3 has ever seen, next to perhaps I Am Grunt, who hopefully will come back one day. I'd love to see that. But speaking of I Am Grunt, H2O played in the World Cyber Games 2007 and won the 2008 World Cyber Games. He's also come second in the ESOC Spring Tournament. He's played and done very well in the PK Clan tournaments and Hope tournaments. He's had a very, very interesting ladder performance, and I'm going to mention this at the beginning of every game, of course, because Grand Finals do pick up a lot of views on YouTube, and I think it's worth mentioning. But also, LordRaphael, very, very strong, absolutely smashing everyone in Zuter's Smackdowns that we've been seeing, performing very, very well as a player, and H2O is lucky that Red Explorer did not follow him back. If it had that 80 wood that he's looking for, look, he's got 22 wood in bank. He's really banking on grabbing that 80 wood treasure there and wants to be grabbing that. But Red does decide to go back, and really, really going to be happy about that, isn't he, Zuter? 150 coin for Dutch.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly is going to ease whatever his progression is going to be into the next stage. But equally, like you mentioned, H2O going to be happy about the fact... he's going to go get it with
he wants to pick it up, doesn't he? And he's sending a CDB to pick up the 80 wood treasure, but I'm not convinced he's going to get there in time.
It's not even close.
Yeah. It does lose some villager seconds there. If he'd started that sooner, perhaps. Maybe underestimating the fact that Wolves or maybe he knew they were wolves and he could get there and not coyotes, but sadly does lose some villager seconds as a result of that. But still, this villager looks like it was coming this way anyway. He's going to place a house down in a strategic location. Of course, walls on this patch no longer give you line of sight, so houses like this are absolutely fine, and this villager can continue to gather and herd these huntable animals back in his direction. So I do like that decision. It looks like he had intention of doing that anyway. We do have a bit of scout conflict, Zuda. What is going on in this location?
Yeah, native scouts. This is another thing that has been hotly contested. I know there's been a lot of posts about the native scouts and how OP he is, and the fact that he's no fun to play against because he snares compared to the envoy who doesn't snare. He's just poor Roger. I mean, he's just limping here across the California desert.
Yeah.
Man, he's got such a great hat.
His overcoat.
Oh,
he must be so hot right now, this guy.
Just prancing through the desert in what is absolutely nothing fit to be out in the desert. Look at the native scout. He's much more athletic. He's he's much more appropriately dressed for the situation. But Roger, he's strictly business. Strictly business,
that Dutch envoy. But more importantly here, our commentary, exciting, useful, and insightful as always, is snared by this explorer, where he is definitely not going to win that fight. Looks like the blue scout does not want to be taking damage from this explorer here, and looks like actually the blue explorer doesn't want to be fighting this as well. Going to force Roger to run away, because of course, if he switches over to the red explorer, he is going to die. That extra 5 damage that is very, very useful there is, is going to stack up from this red explorer. Could use his scout, so wants to take that out. Looks like he's going to bring his own scout in as well by the looks of it, and is going to kill Roger.
Come on, Roger! Escape. Oh, Roger, poor
nice,
Roger.
And I love how he walked back there, kited back there to get that last shot in, and does manage to get his explorer away unsnared, and is probably going to get his scout away as well. Maybe he can do that, but it's going to be close. If he can, does get away with 14 HP, and is going to be able to put that in the whatever you call it, the stealth mode somewhere in one of these gaps, I would imagine. But let's start with the Dutch player. Is up first to the colonial age, to be expected from Dutch. They do get to age more quickly as a result of their villages costing coin, and they don't have to spend as much food early on, so they can age up. Does have his first bank down, and I imagine his first shipment will arrive any moment, and I imagine it will be a bank wagon or 700 wood, but a bank wagon more likely, and of course with those things that I mentioned. Going to get plenty of banks out of them. Yeah, going to lay down a bank here, that second bank. We'll see what his first shipment is. It's going to arrive any second now. H2O, in the meantime, is going for a trading post, Zua.
Yeah, just pretty standard stuff out of H2O. Going to be picking up that second trading post. And like you mentioned, with the second bank coming on the 400 wood, likely going to be seeing the more economic opening from Dutch with the 700 wood as well. So, pretty standard stuff, both sides sending their 700 wood. Stable coming down for H2O on the quartermaster age up. I think we'll see a stable coming out of LordRaphael now that he's got his 700 wood as well. And we'll see a little bit of cav conflict here in the middle of the map, see if either side can build up any sort of advantage, and then start progressing to the next stages.
Yeah, absolutely. I imagine with stables coming down with these sort of Fortress Age agendas, want to chain some cav during the time that they're collecting for the next age. They might as well do that because, of course, you can slow down. You can afford to do that. Use those cav to perhaps do some villager raiding and get some extra kills in there. And now, obviously, as a result of that, you do often see cavalry conflict as well. But the French player, starting with 700 wood, doing all the things that we mentioned, laying down the whole trading site by the looks of it, is whole at 68 HP. No, he's going to get that up. He's absolutely going to be okay. That was a very, very low HP explorer.
Very uncomfortable, yeah.
Red definitely going to pick it up, but not going to deny the trading post line. 4 villagers does come out as the next shipment for H2O, clearly playing this economic agenda, clearly intending to go up to the Fortress Age, clearly is able to slow down just a bit to get that 4 villagers out before he gets up to the next stage. Not anticipating anything aggressive from from Dutch, which is over here, which he could scout. I'm not sure if he's done that, but certainly is the obvious thing to expect from Dutch is something defensive. Is going to pick up the Explorer likewise, but he only has 4 cavalry. His opponent has 5. He's going to get engaged there, and he's now snared. He has to take this fight 1 unit down. He's going to try and escape by the looks of it with cavalry. He's not going to fight it at all. He's going to escape with 1 cav, and he's going to get the other one out there. Nicely done. Does lose 2 cav. Would prefer to have not have been in that situation at all, but the outcome of it would have been even worse had he not managed to escape with 2. Manages to escape with 2 pikemen, 2 hussars, but Zuta flaring 8 pikemen. Yeah. This is a very interesting choice. Perhaps it's as a direct result of these trading posts. I can't see any other reason. What do you think of this?
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. The more standard follow-up would either be Bankwagon or 600 Wood, but instead opting for 8 Pike, and it looks like he's going to push the issue here a little bit in the second age. Has his 8 Pikes, wants to start denying the TP route a little bit. Important to mention that H2O has researched Stagecoach, and as a result, is going to have a very strong economy here. And it looks like LordRaphael
is he going to get
wanting
caught
to
in this
shut that
base?
down.
I'm not sure. Does not manage to get caught, and I think also saving the villager there. But yes, go ahead. He's sieging this trade post down, and that's not good. The Stagecoach is something that's very valuable, right?
Yeah, and we'll see how H2O responds to it, whether or not he starts training military units in the second age. It's worth mentioning that it could be a little bit risky. I mean, 8 Pikes do represent quite a bit of siege potential. If LordRaphael just continues to mass cav and pushes in here, it could be a little risky for H2O.
Yeah, H2O does not want to take this fight. He knows there are 8 pikemen coming his way. He saw them at the trading right there. They are. He has been snared, right? Does he have anything in queue? Let's take a look at the units in queue. See if we'll see 5 cav pop out. Perhaps, potentially, that would be really, really good here. But Minutemen, red player does see that, is going to get back. These are very strong against the pikemen. No doubt they'll be fighting the pikemen here. That house going down in a nice location as well. Keeps everything bunched up. Keeps the Minutemen, well...
It keeps them a little bit safer, yeah. But it's... Oh, there they go. There's the big Papa Cab that he was waiting for. Doing a pretty good job of focusing down the pikemen as well with the Minutemen. Still a couple of them remain, but it looks like he's going to be able to clean this out. He's got 1 musket in the back there as well, which represents a little bit of anti-cavalry DPS as well. So looks like he's going to clean this up in his base and then be able to push back out. Behind this, LordRaphael only has 3 banks as well, worth mentioning.
Yeah, and I think those pikemen did not achieve what they were set out to do. And I thought they were here to run around killing these trading posts, forcing H2O to make some muskets, slow his age up down, all of these things. But actually, there was an engagement that looked favourable for him, and it didn't work out. Too close to the French player's base there. A batch of cav, some Minutemen, and of course the villagers getting involved. French villagers do 8 range damage. Very, very strong. Manages to clean that up, and now that shipment is almost wasted in a sense. It's really not very good. 8 pikemen are going to slow you down a lot, and Dutch don't have fast shipments, and they don't have trading posts in the same way that France has on this map here, and they're going to be wanting to be in the Fortress Age and not going to be able to send those powerful Fortress Age military shipments. H2 are just going to replace this trading post, and it's really not going to be very costly to do so. You can just switch these trading posts that he does have that are already upgraded over to wood and grab that. Granted, he probably didn't want to lose it to begin with, but he's probably quite happy about the outcome of the fight that did happen there. Looks like we do have 4 cav. Looks like H2O baiting him in, trying to keep him interested. I really like this, of course, and then brings the muskets in, which the lineup with the cavalry did not have the line of sight to see. And you can see he's just hovering around, trying to retreat, but also not retreating, just keeping it interested, and does manage to, as a result of that, kill these. I would have liked to have seen him get into hand combat, but the cavalry all died before he could really make use of that. But still nice to see, and it looks like these cav are now going to run down and
trying to help out their brothers down here who are find themselves in a bit of a strange situation. Yeah. To go back to your point though about the 8 pike shipment, it did kind of to some degree accomplish what LordRaphael wanted to accomplish. It kept the French player locked in the second age, and it did slow down his progression slightly. And so, despite the fact that yes, he's not in the most ideal situation, he forced a lot of muskets to be trained. If you take a look at H2O's bank, he's even shipped like 3 hussars, 600 wood. It's not the ideal progression that he'd want to ideally be in. So I don't think LordRaphael's too displeased with the way that this early game has gone.
Yeah, I think you're right there. He did force a lot of muskets. H2O still only in age 2. You're absolutely right. That's definitely something that needs to be pointed out there, and it's certainly something to his credit. LordRaphael is still in age 2 as well. What is going on at this point? I wonder, or are they gonna? Is this a colonial age brawl?
It may well end up being that. I don't think H2O wanted that, but the 8 pike shipment kind of forced the hand, and now LordRaphael, he's got his 4 banks up. We can see he's built himself a barracks. He's starting to train skirms. You wouldn't start to train skirms in age 2 if you didn't have an intention of continuing to train them. The awkward thing is, the longer this game goes, LordRaphael is going to have to train pikemen, skirmishers, and hussars to complete that 3-unit composition, whereas the French player Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, he snuck on up to the next age
Yeah.
by the looks of it there. The age up fast option always catches you out of surprise with this particular UI, as it doesn't have it over the top there. But is going to lose some villagers. That's not too good. Does call his Minutemen. Does have a batch of skirms. Let's take a look at the units in queue. 2 Reuters there. These skirmishers are not happy. They're trying to get away. They haven't been engaging at all. They've just been running. And now that the cav are on top of them, they're now going to have to kite. But they got as much distance as they could away, so that perhaps, just hopefully, the Reuters will pop out that first shipment, and of course from the stable as well. But looks like it's not going to happen. It's too late if it is. There's 5 Reuters right now, but a little bit too late. A lot of these skirms have gone down, and the age up perhaps not worth it here. He did get caught out a little bit, and as a result of that, now H2O on top of his opponent's base. All of the villagers stuck inside, and they're not going to be able to gather. Let's take a look at the red player's resource count. Not growing aside from gold, where of course you have banks, and not going to be able to continue to make any more units. And blue is very, very nearby. He's going to be able to force these villagers inside, and I'm not sure where he's going to get more units from.
Yeah,
This is the worst possible situation to be in when you age up.
Yeah, exactly. And most importantly, H2O is hot on his heels in terms of tech. I mean, he's just aging up right now himself.
Yeah, there it is.
So not only is he now equalized in age, he still has the 3-stage coach TP, and he's...
2 shipments available.
Yeah, he's got 2 shipments available. He's killed a ton of skirmishers, which auto-upgrade into vet. He's idled a ton of villagers for a very long period of time. Things going swimmingly for H2O here in game number 4.
Yeah, this is really, really good for him. These trading posts represent so much as well. Dutch was ahead economically, but not going to be for much longer. Of course, he's managed to catch up, is actually the point I'm making. Looks like these Reuters are, considering the 9 Reuter shipment and the few Reuters that he managed to train. Musketeers, I think, is slightly more valuable for the Musketeer to fight a Reuter. You do get more value out of a musket in that engagement, but considering the numbers here, just going to clean this up real fast, and the muskets can't retreat because, of course, Reuters do have the increased movement speed here. Blue is going to retreat off that gold mine, being pursued by these cavalry, by the Reuters, but these don't do much damage, and looks like he's going to get a little bit too close. That second volley from the skirms, really important there, nicely done, does pick up an extra, could have only got 1 volley in if he managed to get out a little bit sooner, perhaps being a little bit greedy trying to kill a villager, but yeah, the villagers are fairly safe, and because of the trading route, I think, H2O in a commanding lead at this point in time, or in a little bit of a lead. He's not, the red player's still certainly in it, but these trading posts need to be dealt with soon.
They need to be dealt with very soon. If you look at the economic unit population, it's actually bang on even, and that doesn't account for, the 4-ish or so villagers that we usually say stagecoach TPs account for. So, truthfully, LordRaphael fairly behind economically, and he had a little bit of a window there where he did get aged up first, had his 9 Reuter shipment out, but the map, because it's so big, just really playing to H2O's advantage. The skirmisher shipment is now out. He's got some dragoons here in the mix as well. And look at all of a sudden his army just looks absolutely frightening. Just a very scary composition here out of H2O.
So many resources coming in, so many shipments queued up, so many military units entering the battlefield. 2 falconets have joined the fray, and I think he has the army to keep those alive, keep those well protected. Dutch does not have a 2 falconet shipment. 2 falcons is very, very difficult to deal with. The Reuters slowing down just enough to kill this villager there, and I was concerned for a moment those Reuters were going to go and meet these falcons and put a very, very bad end to those, but that is not the case here. Looks like he's got the skirmishers on the... and hold on a moment, those falcons.
Yeah,
I think they'll be okay, but cutting off his opponent with the dragoons on one side and going to try and force his opponent to escape on the other. We do see some Reuters come across, and yes, the Reuters are going to rush towards those cannons. They've seen, no, they're not. They're going to get out there. I love how he's positioning his units. Dragoons on one side, and then skirms to block the exit. Keep these units on his side of the battlefield, and I really like how he's done that. Now going to push towards his opponent.
Yeah, pushing forward with the falconets, the one thing we have to remember, I say it frequently, the falconets are very slow moving, and they represent a lot of damage and a huge power spike, but the mobility that these Reuters have isn't tied to the falconets like H2O's composition is. Looks like he's going to set up shop outside the infrastructure here of LordRaphael. LordRaphael's going to... And LordRaphael's going to have to come home and defend against this very soon. We can see already getting harassed over here on the resources by the Dragoons as well.
Absolutely, going to harass with the Dragoons up here, and those cannons going to get some nice volleys on those skirms. I think they're a bit out of position now. Even the Dragoons are just going to go in on them and just do lots of damage there. Looks like some cavalry do pop out, and it does take a volley, or does lose a cavalry there. And looks like the cannon's going to be okay. I think these, and the veterancy upgrade coming in as well. Looks like, yeah, just going to slam everything over on the skirms there. Get them down quickly whilst he's got a huge mass. And half of his army, all these Reuters are, on the other side of the map. I think trying to do some villager harassment, but a couple of freshly recruited skirmishers, going to stop that here. Just going to slam his mass into the skirms whilst half the army is away. They're now going to get back on top of those cannons, keep them protected. All this time, the cannons doing damage to the units where they can, and then switching over to the buildings. And then as soon as units get back in range, going to make sure they're focusing units which they're best against, which is going to give them the biggest advantage. But GG does come out. H2O takes game number 4 in this series.
Yeah, and another close game. I mean, we've said it before, we'll say it again. These games are separated by inches, and just the very small moments in timings and these small little windows that each player has. Once again, H2O abusing one of those little windows. Was able to push back out, won a fight convincingly in his base, pushed back out, and then we saw, he caught the skirmishers out with his cavalry, was able to eliminate a fairly large number of those before LordRaphael was able to get aged up, and then was able to follow up in the age and mitigate the potential timing window that LordRaphael had. If we take into consideration when the 9 rider shipment got onto the field, in the very small window that was open, it was like 5 seconds. H2O was up, had dragoons and skirmishers there to meet him. Crisis averted, so to speak. And as a result, plows right on through, bringing it up to 4 games to 4 games to none. And now LordRaphael is in the situation of a lifetime where, in order to win a tournament valued with a prize pot of $1,000, you have to reverse sweep, arguably the best player of all times. A very tall order, but
possible.
We'll see what's happening. I'd love to. I would love to see it.
Is this the start of that? It would be. This would top the Spring Championships for me, which is, in my opinion, the best Age of Empires 3 moment I've experienced. That Grand Finals where Black Star beat H2O. But that goes to show H2O is beatable. And I know LordRaphael has taken games off him before. I know LordRaphael, a very, very strong player. But this game, and all of the others, very, very close, down to inches. I know it looks like a player, in the end, convincingly won. But these are all things about these 30-second, minute timings where you need to be doing very particular things. And just all of these games have been very close. Very satisfied with the series overall, though I would like to see more games and more maps. That would be great. But do remember, the next video is on the other channel. Thank you very much for watching. Do leave a like if you enjoyed this. Do put a PogChamp in the Twitch chat if you're enjoying this. And we will be right back with the next game.
Excited Asian!
Yep.